always been a builder. I was a welder by trade, and I've been in construction for 20 years. So working with my hands was always something I loved to do. My interest in tiny houses first started on the internet. I started seeing them and thought that was really a nice idea, eco-friendly and sustainable, and really freeing from all of the stuff that we tend to weigh ourselves down with in our typical modern society. We had more land here than we needed ourselves or could really practically use, so we thought what better way than to offer them to people that wanted to live in tiny houses. And we put together a Kijiji ad just to see what kind of interest they would have. Newspaper picked up and ran an article about it, and then it became unmanageable. The emails, the phone calls were by the hundreds. People were really interested in what we were offering, a tiny house community. Okay. We approached the county and talked about what it would look like to have that happen. And they said, what a great idea. Here's what it's going to look like. We need you to have all of these amenities and services and safeguards in place that really took away from what we were trying to do. It simply came down to the "we've always done it this way" argument. We don't know any better. And I tried to explain to them that, in fact, we haven't always done it this way. This is a relatively new lifestyle that humanity has stumbled upon. And if we went back to our roots, we would have compostable toilets, and we wouldn't have the power grid or the septic or the paved roadways that they were asking for. So I think this is really counterintuitive, but to them, this is the way it has to be. And which is such a shame, because it's such a big, beautiful country, and we can't live off the grid and enjoy this. The tours are really short. Here's the kitchen. So we will have a sink here, a fridge here. Over here is the washroom, sliding barn door. We're really popular in the tiny house movement because they don't take up an end swing. So of course you've got the loft up there. This 20-footer would typically be 6 to 8 weeks from start to finish. The bigger they are, of course, the longer it's going to take. The part that takes the longest is probably where we're at now, the finishing. The small detailed woodwork takes a lot of time to get just right, and to do so without wasting material. In the construction of these tiny houses, we waste as minimal as possible. Whereas in the typical construction industry, waste isn't really counted as a problem. I think that Parks Canada stumbled upon one of those avenues and said, wow, this would be something that we could look into. And they approached us about it, and we talked about it for a couple of months, and then eventually they got the okay to do a pilot project. The project is tiny house. They contracted us for one tiny house and another company, and they'll put 2 tiny houses in the Waterton National Park this year as accommodations for visitors. And then if it's successful, if the demand is there, then they look to do more tiny houses throughout Canada. A lot of people have, over the last few years, woken up to the fact that the way we're doing things on this planet isn't working, and it's not going to be sustainable in the long run. When you're in a tiny house and you have to pare down to what really matters to you, everything you own is in fact then a cherished possession. The most important is we need to push for the legislation that allow tiny houses to become mainstream.